everyone, and yes, that was a Winnie the Pooh rug. Today we're doing another revisit and reimagine. So if you guys have never seen these videos before, it's very simple. I basically look at old artwork and collect a series of prompts, combine those prompts together with my own current style and ideas, and I have a new piece of artwork. This one, however, is me looking at my GCSE artwork, so I'm going to pay a bit more attention to trying to explain what's going on here instead of explaining the prompts. And at the end of the sketchbook clips, then I will explain the prompts and how they're going to fit into the piece I'm going to be creating. So this one, as you can see, is all about... I don't really know. This was the problem with this project, is our teacher kind of just gave us the artists and the idea of like certain things and was like, go with that. So I ended up landing myself in like spiritual and religious buildings because I needed some primary observations, and I didn't really look too much into the buildings themselves, more just into patterns and symbols that they had around on the brickwork and like the stained glass windows and stuff. None of which are very good observations, I will note, but then I landed upon this artist, Brian Berg. He's basically an artist who builds buildings out of cards. Now, I attempted some very badly. I mean, they're good, decent attempts, but they're not obviously as amazing as his. So from that, I decided to actually look at natural forms for each card suit. I don't know why, because now when I think of cards and things like that, I just instantly go Alice in Wonderland, but obviously back then I didn't. My mind just went natural forms, yeah, that'll look cool. That is not good. That is not a good observation. I'm not trying to put myself down, but that was not good. These are kind of a little bit redeemable, I guess. And then we have the design ideas. Like, we literally just jumped straight into it, and we have some oil pastel, we have acrylic, we have some relief work because I basically layered cardboard, we have a little bit of like cubism going on, going from dark to light, some very bad leaf paintings. I don't even know how that was allowed in my sketchbook. And then we have these. Now, I think these are okay because I basically was designing my own card suits inspired by the symbols from like the religious buildings, the colours from my artist research, and the cards from Brian Berg's artwork. But then I landed myself here. Yeah, it was a jump. So the background, I'm pretty sure, is just colours and things inspired by, like I said, the artists. The cards were from Brian Berg, that's what they were inspired by, and obviously the natural forms was what I took from it, I guess. It's okay. It's okay. But we go straight into the Me and Myself project. So the Me and Myself project was basically portraits. I do not look like that, and these are so bad. But I mean, no, actually, you know what? These are good. These are good compared to this. Yep, there's a little satanic baby drawing in my artwork. I mean, this is kind of okay, but like this one, it's so creepy, and I can say that because that was me as a baby. Going on from this, we have the artist research. I mean, it's better than the previous artist research in the architecture. I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. We then have a massive mind map because we had to do our work on paper apparently. And this is what the outcome was. I mean, it's okay in terms of a mind map. It just didn't need a whole massive page for me to tell you generic things that I liked. And some of these I don't think were true. I think I just wrote them so I could fill in some spaces. But from this, I obviously went into, I was gonna say like observations and stuff, but no, I jumped straight to design ideas somehow. I think that's not supposed to be there. But anyways, yeah, we ended up going back into sketchbooks. I did peacocks, which linked to my mind map because obviously I own peacocks. So I was like, oh, primary observations. But then we went into psychedelic patterns for some reason, just because I think I had some doodles that I liked and I wanted to include them in my artwork. We then have some more doodles and things, and then we go into Alice in Wonderland. I think I'd already intentionally set out to do this that's why I did the peacock feather and the psychedelic patterns, because if you don't know, Alice in Wonderland's a little bit trippy, and the Mad Hatter has a peacock feather in his hat, I do believe. We have some observations. I was gonna say these were actually, you know what? These aren't observations. They're just me making hats because I couldn't be bothered to actually draw the Mad Hatter's hat, or I couldn't. I don't know, because I did the Cheshire Cat. I actually tried with it. I mean, I did the Cheshire Cat 4 times, and then we have a blank page. I think I was supposed to do something on that page. I never did. And then yeah, another bad drawing of a person. I mean, actually, you know what? That's actually really bad. It's really, really bad. I spent a lot of time on that as well, and I was really proud of it, I think, when I did it. We have some really bad calligraphy, and a really disproportionate butterfly. But all of this was to tie in the Alice in Wonderland with the music that I liked and some primary observations that I'd taken. But then we have to link in artist research, and that's why we've got the hair going everywhere. That was from one of my artists, and the colourfulness was from another artist. And that's really all I took from them. And the eye situation that I think it was Kate Parr did in her artwork. And we land upon this. Now, obviously, like I said, hair is from the artist, hat from the Mad Hatter. So from the prompts, I instantly thought the bathhouse from Spirited Away for the kind of architecture section, the colourful natural forms in the trees and plants, that whole kind of Alice in Wonderland theme, but a little bit psychedelic, all kind of tied together in one bubble. And I decided to refer to quite a few images. I wanted to include the Cheshire Cat. However, obviously this is me looking at more kind of what my style would be now, and I do definitely prefer drawing in the kind of more John Tennell illustration style, who was the original illustrator for Alice in Wonderland's Adventures. So I used my kind of digital thing to try and make an idea kind of sketch. I'm new at doing that, so it's not amazing, but once I'd done that, I decided to grid it up and sketch it out. Once I sketched it out, I then started adding details onto all the cards and things. I kept the card suits traditional, as in diamonds, spades, clubs and hearts, but I decided to, on the backs of the cards, where the patterns and stuff are, I decided to go for a flowery pattern, try and tie in the more kind of natural forms I included on the cards in my architecture project. Also, if you can see by where my hand is, there's also no face from Spirited Away. Because I was doing the bathhouse, I didn't want it to be just overwhelmed by Alice in Wonderland. I wanted to include other things. And like I said, if this is going to be me and myself into a project and combining in architecture and things, I've got to include some anime. So once I'd finished the sketch, I went in with a kneadable rubber to lighten the lines, because obviously this is going to be a watercolour piece, and I don't want any of the harsh lines to show through underneath the watercolour. I then went in with watercolour to add kind of block colouring to certain areas, like the trees, the trunk of the trees and the sky, just because I'm going to be working with watercolour pencils, and it's a bit hard to cover a large area without you getting that sort of texture to them, and I wanted to just have a flat base colour to work on top of already. That way it saves time, and also it kind of adds to the kind of illustrative, that's the word, illustrative style I'm trying to go for with this piece. Once dried, I decided to go in with watercolour pencils to add in more kind of shading and details amongst the trees and around the trunk and bark and things like that. I decided to do this quite harsh with some very dark lines, because I wanted it to be kind of defined, and I wanted you to be able to see the shading by using technique and lines and things like that, trying to keep it very illustrative, not blend too much, just because I'm going to do a water wash over this anyway. I'm going to blend the bits together, so yeah, I'm just keeping it very kind of bold and harsh until I use the water wash like I am now, which then makes the colours blend and soften slightly. Then to define and kind of make the outlines more bold, I'm going to go in with a fine liner. I was going to go in with an acrylic paint pen, but it was a little bit too thick. So going with the fine liner, it's got that kind of fine point to it, so it doesn't make the lines seem too clumsy or anything, and you're still able to go in and add detail and shading. I got a little bit carried away and ended up doing it all without recording it. So I'm going to go into them and just follow the same steps. I'm going to basically go in with watercolor pencils quite boldly to add in the colours, block colours, and also just kind of keep it very blocky in places because it is quite a small illustration, especially around like the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit on the bridge. And then I'm just going to go in with a water wash and blend them all together. I don't really mind if colours bleed slightly because I'm obviously going to go with that fine liner and define the areas, and again just repeat the steps on the next section. And I did find a use for the acrylic paint pen. I'm just going to go around and add more depth to the outside and also add in some little soot gremlins from Spirited Away or soot sprites or something, and use the white pen to add highlight and little eyes to the soot sprites. So yeah, the tape came off really well as well, so that's a good thing. Overall, I think I did really well at tying in the whole architecture with the Alice in Wonderland, with the cards and the whole colourful and natural forms, while also making it kind of psychedelic and a little bit kind of distorted. I really like the piece. I think it's really cute. My favourite thing is probably the Cheshire Cat, Alice, and the little soot sprites going round, as well as No Face, who's just hiding amongst all the cards. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and